Welcome to our team call. My name is Sue Young, and I'm just so excited to welcome you here tonight. And we are going to chat about our amazing weekend that some of us just had, Ruby's and some of us Jules. We had an incredible time in Tennessee, in Nashville, and Franklin. And I just can't wait for our Rubies to share what they experienced. And I just had a great time. The weather was gorgeous for one, so that was a bonus. And it was nice and warm, so we could soak up some sun. And we got to see a really cool plantation, some of us did. We got to experience some line dancing and some fun at the Wild Horse Saloon. And I don't want to give too much away because I want our Rubies to share. But anyways, first of all, I wanted to ask Brittany and Chris to share. They each had 3 Rubies at this retreat. So that is amazing for them as leaders. And I just wanted to commend them. Great job. And these Rubies totally deserved to be there. And I wanted Chris and Brittany just to say a few words first. So Brittany, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Okay, sure. Well, thank you for the compliment. I definitely had a blast. It was one of my favorite Plexus trips ever. And it's probably because I was with some of my favorite people ever. My Rubies are really good leaders. All of the ones that were there are literally some of my favorite people to be around. And so some of the best conversations we had were in the car. 2 of my Rubies were in the car with me, and we rode along. Like, we had basically 2 days worth of driving, and so they asked lots of questions. I asked them lots of questions, and it was just, we brainstormed together, and we basically planned out our whole year. It was awesome, and just lots and lots of good memories made. The Diamond panel was super encouraging, spoke right to our hearts, exactly what we needed to hear as leaders. The Vanessa Van Edwards training was phenomenal. I actually just did a recap for my family at the dinner table. It took me like 2 hours. But I learned a ton. It was so interesting that they were all leaning in, like they wanted to know more too. It was just so practical and just really right up my alley. She was so sciencey, and she kept telling us all the studies, and I just loved the whole thing. Lots of great takeaways from that. And then the dancing was a lot of fun. I'm not the best at it, but I did attempt. And we just had a blast. And then Emily and myself and Chris Holtzclaw, we went to worship together with Kristen Abart and Wendy Larson and Brenda Martin and Charlotte Seams. And we had breakfast with them, so that was a treat. And then we went to church, and then they invited us to lunch, so that was another treat. And so it was a great day. The whole thing, I know, right? It was so good. We just were thrilled. And Jared Abart too. I forgot. He's a diamond. So just those are the type of people you want to surround yourself with, and
Right.
It was definitely an honor and a treat. So we love the whole thing, and we already are thinking about next year. Like, we cannot wait to go back, and we already have in mind like who we're taking with us next year, and just
Awesome.
good things all around.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you for sharing. I'm so jealous that you got to worship with them Sunday morning. We just had to get on the road right away, but I would have loved to experience that for sure. And yes, Vanessa Van Edwards, she was amazing. Her book is called Captivate, I believe, right? The Science of Succeeding with People. Highly recommend. Everyone look at that, get the audiobook, hard copy on Amazon. I think it's like $18 for the hard copy, but so worth it. Captivate by Vanessa Van Edwards. Okay, Chris, go ahead and share your thoughts with us.
Right. Yeah. Hey guys. Yeah, what a blast. Seriously, I would agree. This was a fun trip. And I think it was because it was so small and it just was small and intimate, even though there was like maybe 90, 100 people there. It just was smaller. And it was really cool that we were all on the same team, like all sidelines, you know? So that was just a blast to all be together. A lot of us have gotten to know each other, being at a couple different events, and some haven't been to anything yet, you know, like stuff like this, bigger things like this, other than just our local team stuff. So that was really cool to be able to introduce some of my rubies to uplines and sidelines and all these people that we get to see all the time online and these little pictures, and now we actually get to see each other. So that was just so much fun. Yeah. You know, my rubies, you guys are just, I love my entire team, but my rubies right now, they're my biggest leaders. And you know, the way that they got here, I have to speak to that, you guys, because the way they got here is they do the work. You know, like they are amazing leaders. I'm so proud of them. They worked really, really hard to just share Plexus with people. And that's what it takes, you know, just sharing Plexus, supporting their teams, helping people love the products, following up with people. They do the work, the daily work every single day. And that's how they got to go to something like this. That's how you add to your team and you add to your customers and keep your people on the products, help them love. And then when people love the products, they share. Yes. And the ladies that are with me, that's the way their teams look. And they are always helping people love the products. So all of them just are amazing. So it was really fun. We had Kay Sharda, Krista Brower, Janelle Moss, and then Sarah Howard, she was going to come, but then she had some family stuff come up, so she wasn't able to come to join us. So that's 4 ladies that really lead some pretty amazing teams, and I'm just so proud of them for that. So it was just really fun and all 3 of those ladies, I know Kay's been to convention, but she lives in South Dakota. So the rest of us a lot of our team is from Michigan, and so we get together a lot. So Kay just loves to come around with everybody and just surround herself with Plexus people and be able to ask questions. And that was the cool thing too, is when you go to these things, you can brainstorm. Like Brittany said, you have that time where you're in the car, you're out for dinner, and you're with sidelines and everybody, and you can talk about your business, or you can talk about how do I help somebody with this, and you can really get that concentrated time. So we love that, just asking lots of questions, and that's what they do. And they just have the best hearts, and it's just a lot of fun. So I know I loved every minute of it. The training, we got to talk to the diamond panel. We had 10 diamonds up there, guys? Yeah. So that was really cool that we just went through a bunch of pre-asked questions and answered them so amazing. And, I'm sure I'll let them get to that too. But I loved that time of talking to our diamonds, to our upline diamonds and sideline diamonds and all that. That was really awesome. And the training too. Oh my goodness, Vanessa was phenomenal. Yeah. Phenomenal. I'm like going to subscribe to her YouTube channel, the Facebook groups. Like she is really fun to listen to. So cool. Yes. So it was a ton of fun. I can't wait for next year.
I know, right? I agree on everything. Awesome. Okay, so Janelle, one of Chris's rubies, is going to start us off. And go ahead, Janelle. We're anxious to hear from you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Janelle Moss, and like Chris said, I'm a ruby, and if you follow the Sword of Silver page, I gave my little blurb today about how I got to silver. So anyway, you probably noticed that this was kind of an accidental business for me. Started out that way anyway. But the biggest takeaway I got from this weekend was all of Vanessa's information. I mean, the diamond panel was amazing. There was a lot of really great things, but I'm just going to share. I wrote some notes about some of my favorite things that she taught us, so that I really want to share with everyone else because they were so helpful. So I'm just going to start with that. The first point that I wrote down is called the winner body language. She describes like how to have like loose arms, open torso, shoulders down, head up, and visible hands. She said that was a big thing. Like, she kind of told us something that was a little surprising to me was, she said, what do you think people notice first about you? And a lot of people said eyes. And she said, yeah, that's the second thing, but the first thing is hands. And she gave like examples of, like, she went back behind the curtain and then came out with her hands behind her back. And she said, if I would sit here and talk to you for a while, the longer I did that, the more you would be distracted and wondering what was in my hands. Why were my hands behind my back? And she said, that is a big part of communication. She said, you have like a strike zone right here from your neck down to your waist, and keep your hands in there. That's where people feel safe. And so just stuff like that was really informational. Another thing was vocal power. She said a couple tips: talk at the lowest end of your natural tone. So like, I guess I feel like I do that already, but like I just lifted up my voice there. And she said, some people talk like this all the time and they're kind of like, you know, super excited sounding. And she said, you know, to put people at ease, use your lower voice. And then like some of the questions that you ask on everyday basis, like, how are you? You know, ask it with meaning, like, how are you? You know, not how are you? Just things like that. And she did give one tip I thought was cool about an app. It's called Ummo, UMMO. I've been doing a little challenge with my own team, and we've been trying to be conscious about how often we use the word And that app, she said, would help you if you download that. And you can pick your words. Like if you have a problem saying like, or there I just said or you know, and so yeah. And she said eye contact is pretty important, and to show you're being a good listener, like tilt your head a little bit and nod, you know, just showing people, and that shows empathy and engagement. And then when you're talking to people and you're standing, like fronting, point your toes, torso, top of your face to them. And then touch gives off certain pleasing hormones. So like your handshake, we had to practice handshaking, you guys. It was hilarious. So that was pretty fun. How to do a good handshake. There's actually an art to that, believe it or not. And then at the end of a conversation, like when you're leaving, like just touch somebody's shoulder and say, it was so nice to see you. Things like that were just really helpful. Let's see. I got a couple more things, I guess. Just one, opening lines. When you start your introduction or when you're talking to people, start on a high note, like positively. And, you know, don't, I'm sorry, but, you know, and start your sentence that way. Don't be negative and don't apologize. And one thing that stuck out to me that she shared was be an introducer. Like when you have people around that you know don't know each other, take the liberty to introduce somebody and rave about them. She said, introduce and rave. Like, this is my friend Sue, and she is like the best mom I know, and she's so giving and generous, and paint that picture for the other person of how great this person is. And so, yeah, just some tips of, you know, how to work with people and learn a little bit about their personality by their reactions, and just a lot of good stuff. So that's my biggest takeaway.
Awesome, Janelle. I agree. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, so many good tips. Thanks, hon. Danielle Knight, we're going to hear from you next.
Hey, everybody. Like she said, my name is Danielle Knight. I am a senior Ruby ambassador. There were so many good tips. I'm going to try and keep this down to like a few minutes. But there's so many good things.
Yeah.
Like the ladies had said, like this is probably one of the best Plexus trips that I've been on. The info was great. It was great. I loved how it was just smaller and a little bit more intimate. You had more time to connect with sidelines and leaders, and it just overall was a fabulous event. We started off Friday night with a little bit of a fashion show, and like the first one was a Zoom leader, and she was all dressed up nice on top, and then she comes out and she like rips off her boots and throws them into the crowd, and she's got like crazy socks on, kind of like right now. I'm wearing my sweat.
I love it.
I got my sweatpants on, but you wouldn't know by the top. So it was just a fun way to start it off. And then we went into the diamond panel, and there was just so many good tips. So probably one of my like favorite things that was said that seems a little, but was such like a big thing for me, was when Lori Welch said, take time management and throw it out the window if you are wanting to grow fast. And that just really hit home for me, because one of the other things they had really been talking about was like mom guilt and, just trying to keep a balance, and all those things can be so hard, but it's okay just to throw it all out the window and don't be stressing about the, having the perfect balance and trying to manage your time perfectly, because the one thing that all of them were up there saying is, in the end, it is worth it. It's worth it when you get, Charlotte Seams said that, they just took all their family on a trip to Disney World, and, that was worth it. The kids, even though mom was on the phone all the time, the kids feel like that was worth it. And that's something like for me, like I really have to remember that, like this is definitely worth it. Asking your family, making sure your family knows why you're doing this will help with that, and make sure that they're understanding why you're doing it. Make sure you know why you're doing it. Let me see. Vision questing. I think it was Amber Miller. I didn't write down who said it, but I think it was Brenda Martin. Now that I say that, this was talking about vision questing, and write down what you would want your life to look like in a year, and work towards that. Something that Wendy Larson said: be present for your team. Your team can't see you; they can't follow you. Charlotte Seams again was talking about if you're nervous about sharing, it's not about you. It's about other people. And it's about, who isn't going to hear about Plexus if you don't share, or who won't hear about Plexus for, another 2 years if you don't be brave and be bold and share. Something else that Brenda Martin said was invest in your team every month. Sometimes people, don't want to, go that little bit extra to make some sacrifices to be able to make it to convention, or, run a sale for your team, or do a giveaway for your, workers or whatever. But she said, make sure you're investing in your team every month. Kristen Abart was talking a lot about sponsoring up, signing influencers, looking for those people who have that influence and know who you're going after. Let me see. Another thing that I really liked was Saturday night we went to the Wild Horse Saloon, and there was dinner and dancing and it was tons of fun. I had the baby, so I didn't get to do a whole lot of dancing, but it was really fun watching all the other ladies dance. A couple things that from Vanessa, who was absolutely fabulous, talking about asking positive questions to people. Like one of the questions, she made us get way out of our comfort zone, at least I know for me, and really had us talking to each other in the room, and going and talking to strangers. And one of the questions she had us talking was, what do you have that's going positive in your life? Just asking that to a stranger. And I don't feel like that would be ever something I would think to ask, to be, asking positive questions. And something else she talked about was knowing your audience, know who you're looking for. When you're posting and on Facebook, know who you're going after, know who you're looking for. Something else that was really fun that I'm finding myself use a ton, just since we learned about this on Saturday, was the micro expressions, just learning people's facial expressions. I've been doing that. I was on the plane home and talking to the person sitting next to me, and I was like studying their face. And I'm like, I saw that. So it was just overall a fabulous trip. I could talk for like an hour on. It was just great. So yeah, it was a great trip.
Yay. Thank you, Danielle. Yes, there was so many good tips from our diamonds. Oh my goodness. That just excited me. That evening was amazing. The next person we're going to hear from is Krista Brower. So go ahead, Krista.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, girl.
I would agree. It was just an awesome, awesome experience and trip. This was my first Plexus event that I've ever been to, and I just had so much fun. I learned so much, and just the bonding is just so fun to get to know these women who I talk to every day, but we talk about Plexus and we talk about some other things, but to really get deep with them and just to get to know these women who are such a big part of my life now, it was just fabulous. So I love that part of it. For just the fun that you just feel, you just have so much fun with the plantation tour and the line dancing, and just all of it was just so much fun. With the learning, the diamond panel, a lot of what Danielle said, I had some of those same things written down here. The mom guilt that stood out to me, or whether it's dad guilt or mom guilt or whatever, even family member guilt, just really sharing your why. And I love the idea of talking to them about rewards that you can do with them if you make it to a level. So, if I hit Emerald, this is what we get to do. And so they know what you're working towards, and they get to feel that reward and kind of a part of it too. I love that. For time management, I love some of the ideas they had also. I love the idea that Danielle said about throwing it out the window, but if you can't throw it out the window completely, some of the ideas of just write down your perfect day. If you had your perfect time allotted for each segment of your life, what would that look like? And then aim for that every day. Something that I struggle with sometimes is boundaries, where I feel I try to make my Plexus time, but it creeps into time with my kids, that type of thing, and really setting those boundaries firm. And if there's an emergency, saying, I'm going to my work starts at 12 o'clock and I will get to right then at 12 o'clock, and just really setting those. So I think that will help my family to realize that when I'm working on Plexus, I'm working on Plexus, and that is work. But when I'm at home, or when I'm with them, that I'm really with them and I'm spending that quality time with them. I'm terrible at names, so I don't even know who it was, but at the end they pushed us to identify 3 areas that we're making excuses in. And this was kind of compelling to me because I can feel myself making excuses at times where I'm just too busy. This came up this week, I can't do this, and those excuses just come out. And yeah, it's easy to give yourself grace and say, I can't do it today, or I can't do it this week, or maybe next month I'll start the IPA again. But to really look at your excuses and refute those and make it, if you want to go, if you have that vision for where you want to be next year, then go for it and put those excuses aside. And you have to almost do that every single day. Look at your excuses and say, no, I'm not letting those hold me back today. So I think that was Diamond Panel. Vanessa Van Edwards was just amazing. I had a lot of what the ladies talked about before written down too. One thing I really liked, this will be the last thing I talk about. I could also talk for hours about this one, but he talked about priming, which is using those positive words and giving the words that you want people to experience when they have a communication with you. So she was saying that our words can actually change reality for people, and they've done studies in classrooms, and I've seen that before, where if a teacher says, you're incredibly bright, or this classroom was put into my classroom because they're so bright and you guys are so just outstanding students, that they actually have much higher test scores just because of those words are fed into them. That's why self-affirmations work and things like that. But this same thing, every communication communication, every interaction we have to be intentional about what words we use and using those positive words and thinking about how we want people to feel during our interaction, after our interaction, and start putting those words in there and really being intentional about that. So she had a list of warm words and competent words, which she talked a lot about too, and just really being intentional about putting those, especially for cold calls, cold messaging. She said, make sure you really up the warm words in those. And just some examples of warm words I have, like hi friend, let's connect, cheers, I'm open, together, excited, collaborate, happy to be here, best, both, and just really being intentional about putting those words. Also, group pronouns, us, our, we, are very good at kind of making people feel warm and connected to you. So just really being intentional about using those words and giving people what they need to hear, how they should feel when they're communicating with you. So, but yeah, it was just awesome. I hope that they do something again next year like this, because it was just fabulous. So I hope that they do. And yeah.
So good, Krista. Thank you. I was so glad that you came. So glad.
Yes, me too.
Thanks, hon. Okay, Suzanne Peterson is up next.
Hey guys, hi everyone. So I'm a Ruby ambassador as well, and I mean, pretty much everything that I wanted to share has already been talked about. It was so amazing. I mean, this weekend again, like the other ladies have said, I mean, it was one of my favorite Plexus events so far. It was really different. You know, I love the fact that it was such a small setting. That was really different. It was great. Just being with our leaders and sidelines and being able to approach, you know, the diamonds, sapphires, emerald, and being able to talk to them. You know, I mean, I had lunch with Shoshana. I don't remember her last name. And she's a sapphire, I think. And, you know, I was able to ask her questions and talk with her, have regular conversations. I thought that was really cool. I loved the diamond panel the first night. They were given some questions. I think we had an opportunity to send our questions a few days before, and so they answered those questions. And it was awesome to hear from like 10 diamonds and have different views, you know, of like how they do things. And so my favorite things again was time management. It was really, I thought, I mean, Lori Welch said it so well. She said, you know, something like, when you're really working, there's no time management. There's a time you're going to give 110%. But, you know, it's going to be so worth it. Like now they have put that work in, they have more time to do the things that they like to do. So throw that time management out the window. I mean, if you really want to grow and grow quickly, you just want to work and work like you're hungry for it. Like work your booty up. I mean, it's true, you know, just no more excuses, work. Time management, she said, it's like, it's an excuse, so find a way to do it. If you weren't doing Plexus, you would still be busy every day. You would be doing a million of other things, you know, we're always busy. If you look around you, I mean, everyone is busy, so find a way to put Plexus in your life and work like you really want it. You know, you want to be a diamond, you gotta work like crazy.
Yes.
So Amber Miller, she was saying, stop telling yourself that you can't do it. Stop saying that you're so busy and write down your perfect day and work towards it. What are your priorities? You know, ask yourself, write it down, and it all comes down to being self-disciplined, really. Set down your goals, you know, your priorities, and you have to be self-disciplined no matter what. It's so easy to just get caught up, you know, in like everyday things, you know, like activities and, you know, meeting up with friends. But if you want it, you know, just discipline yourself. And once you get into a routine, it's going to become easier. The more you do it, and the easier it's going to get. And by planning things out ahead of time, it's going to help as well. I also really like to hear from Wendy Larson's perspective on like, there was a question what to do if you have a level 1 that's inactive, but that person has workers or potentials, like people who have potentials under them. You should be messaging those people or calling them because you want to get to know your team. And just because there's somebody in between you and that level 2 or 3 doesn't mean you can't work with that person. Like, don't feel like this is a roadblock. Message those people, and the same, you should be in your virtual office checking your downline and seeing, if there is a level 2 or level 3 that has 500, 900 PV, in the very beginning, then that should catch your attention and be like, okay, well, maybe that person has a lot of customers. Let me get in touch with them and see what's going on. So everything was so good, but I think Amber said something also about embrace the struggle, and when you're feeling that, that's really when you're growing. So don't give up, because anyways, if you give up, you're never going to get past that. And if you are stuck, it's because of personal growth. I mean, we've heard it many, many times before, but the diamonds always remind us that personal growth is so important. Don't compare your journey. And what else? There were so many good things.
Yeah.
I loved how Wendy also said something about the kids. We often think that the kids are really entitled. We like to keep them busy, but we think that they should have activities going on or something, being like doing sports and stuff like that. But she told us that her kids, I mean, she put them to work at home, so they do their homeschool, and then she sends them to work in the backyard, or she gives them jobs around the house, and she doesn't feel like she constantly has to keep them busy, like them having to be part of like activities and sports and stuff like that. I think it's important because, especially these days, we feel like we always need to have our kids, participating in activities here and there, but it's okay for them to be bored too. You use that time to work on your business, So yeah, I think then they talked about mom guilt, and I loved how I have some notes here about this. Include your family, with your Plexus business. Don't just be working on your own, in your little corner in your office or computer, but talk to your family about your goals. Include your spouse, your children, and let them know why you're doing this. Remind them of your goals. You should be doing it together. Your family is really important, so bring them into it too. I have so many notes. About the children being entitled, I wrote, model a behavior that they can follow behind. Model what hard work is, and then they will know, and they'll copy you later in life. Fallon was asked, if you could talk to yourself as a Ruby. So Ruby, what would you tell yourself? Like, for her, it was all about mindset. Everyone can do this, and personal growth and belief. But anyways, I think we talked about everything already. I have more notes. I could keep reading. Don't quit. Don't slow down. Don't get in a funk. Be bold. Be confident. Believe you can do it. Don't be afraid. Help people see things in themselves. Don't let people quit. If you are stuck, it's because of personal growth. And be persistent. Be dedicated. And recruit, all the time is still a huge priority, no matter what rank you are. Until you hit diamond, it should still be at least 80% of your IPA. Run with your runners, embrace the struggles, and be you, do you, work on your strengths. If you're good, for example, on one-on-one meeting, work on meeting with people more often. Focus on your strengths. And the last thing I really liked was identify 3 areas in your life where you're really giving excuses, and try to improve that. And then the training with Vanessa Van Edwards was absolutely amazing. It was really something different that I haven't really been exposed to, so it was for me like really something new. And I love what she said in the very beginning about your brain can be trained just like a muscle. So if you can train your brain in a certain way to change your habits and like become a better leader and things like that. So that was pretty awesome. And then communication, she said that communication is one of the most powerful tools that we can use. And 60% of communication is nonverbal, and nonverbal communication is expression, gestures, and eye contact. 40% of communication is done through words. So, I mean, that means a lot, like we don't realize this, but if you really think about it, the way you behave and act when you're talking to someone, now I'm just analyzing myself here in the video, but really like it tells a lot about yourself, if you're nervous, if you're stressed, if you're lying, things like that. I mean, that was really awesome. But great training. It was an amazing weekend. I mean, all of you guys can be and should be here next year because that was really, really good.
Thank you. Yes, so good. Oh my goodness, I love hearing everyone's perspective, and yeah, it's okay if you repeat each other, right? I mean, it's fun to hear what everybody took away, and there is bound to be some repeats because there's so much good stuff. So Natalie Dolan, you are up next, girl.
Hey, everyone. Everyone who went before me, I just want to say thank you for thoroughly covering everything. You did not save a lot for me, but that's okay. There is one thing. I do want to say I totally agree with everything. This was definitely one of my favorite trips. I just got so much life, so much motivation from it all. I think during the Diamond panel, I was actually, I caught myself several times just deeply looking at the panel with my mouth just open, like jaw just dropped, like just soaking it all in, like, okay, I need to close my mouth because it was just so intimate. I'm gonna hit that again with the time management. I think that we're always like trying to figure out time management. Everybody is, right? Like, how do I manage my time? And yeah, when Lori Welch just said, throw time management, the other diamonds tried to like answer the question. And then Lori Welch just said, you know what? Throw time management out of the window and bust your booty every single day, because this is an opportunity that isn't going to be here forever. And and it was just like, it created this sense of urgency inside of me where I was like, oh, okay. Like, well, maybe I shouldn't be so worried about how to manage my time perfectly, and I should just be busting my booty every day. So yeah, that was like, I bracketed that, starred that. So yeah, that was really my biggest thing for the Diamond panel, and everything else was covered. And then the Vanessa Van Edwards training was so intriguing. It was just such different training, so intriguing. I'm surprised nobody mentioned her speaking about charisma. That's about the only thing that wasn't covered. So charisma, she opened it up talking about that and how successful people are charismatic people. And everybody can name somebody that's charismatic. But then once it was like, but what is charisma? Nobody could really identify what charisma actually is. So she took all of those people, contacted all these people, did this big study. And what they found is that charismatic people are on this, there's a scale, and at one end is warmth, and at the other end is competency. And charismatic people are in the middle of warmth and competency. So they're friendly, they're outgoing, they're, receptive. And then on the other hand, they're still leaders, and they know what they're talking about, and they know their stuff, and they, and people respect that. So the cool thing is most of us fall either more to the warm side or more to the competent side, but she gave us just lots of tools to figure out how you can get to the middle once you identify what side you kind of lean toward. Just different ways that you can show yourself to be a little bit more warm or more competent. Things like if you want to be more competent, just making more direct eye contact in the upper part of the face here. And then, different things. If you want to be warm, just nodding your head, smiling a little bit natural. If it's natural for you, she said, don't fake it until you make it. She does not like that saying. But just tilting your head and just, showing that you're interested, using eye contact. And so it's just the most intriguing, interesting training there. And then, 60% of what we communicate is nonverbal. And so we really need to be thinking about what our face looks like when we're talking to people. Do we look friendly? Do we look competent? And so just giving all of those tips, we can't even go through all of those little tips. But I would highly recommend you going to her YouTube page, because she has a lot of what she taught us is highlighted onto her YouTube page. She has 5-minute videos here and there just about all of these different topics. And so you can really find some of that, a lot of that on her YouTube page. So I would highly recommend that. Super, super interesting stuff. I love what she said about being a raver. She has a video on YouTube about it as well, about how being a raver, not a gossiper. When we gossip about people or say anything negative about anybody, people associate those words with us. So if you say, oh, they're so, I don't, whatever, they're this or that, people associate those words with you. But when you're a raver, it's just so much, people associate those good words with you too, but you want to say things, it just makes you look better when you make other people look good. So just saying, introducing people, wow, this is my friend. She's just such an amazing person. She's such a rock star on my team. She knows her stuff, and just saying things about people that they couldn't say about themselves. I started practicing that with my husband and my mom, just, kind of, just like, oh yeah, Nick is this or that, just saying things about himself that he couldn't say about himself. And he really took to that. So it was really cool thing to practice. And just, he was walking out of the door and then suddenly he was sticking around a whole lot longer. So, and just being authentic with that. There are just so many awesome things in this Vanessa Van Edwards training. Again, go to her YouTube page. But all in all, after that awesome training, I did want to say that a part of being charismatic, really quick, a part of being charismatic is they fall in between warmth and competence. But also they ask better questions. They don't ask, where are you from? They don't ask, how are you? They don't ask, what do you do? They ask questions like, what are your goals for this year? What exciting thing do you have coming up? What is your passion project? And so we all need to start training ourselves to ask better questions, not, oh, hey, where are you from? Those are social scripts, and they don't ignite. She was talking about the brains. They don't fire anything in your brain. Right. They're just, okay, you've said it a million times. I live in North Carolina. Okay, cool. But when somebody asks you, like, so what's your goal this year? Or like, what is your passion? That really makes those sparks start flying. And so that is really my goal, something that I want to be working on, is to just be asking people better questions. And when people ask me questions, the first thing you need to say, because she talked about first impressions, the first thing that you need to say needs to be positive. Don't say, oh my God, it was such a stressful morning, but I'm here. Say, you know what? I'm here and I'm so happy to be here, because people associate those first impression, those first sentences with you. So, and yeah, the whole weekend as a blue, I'm a big blue, and going and being able to go out and dance. I mean, I was just on cloud nine with having all the fun for all the blues out there. Just, I don't know if that's enough motivation, but we were out there dancing and getting our wobble on and what shuffle and our Nashville bound, and we were learning stuff, and it was really such a blast. You know, girls' night, staying up late and staying in our, you know, Airbnbs, and it was just a total blast, such a blessing. And I cannot wait for next year and just to bring more of my team with me. And I already know, like, y'all got to be there with me because it's a blast.
Aww, I love it, Natalie. So good. And let me just say, you are rocking the hand gestures, girl. You listened well. You're right up there with Vanessa. Great job. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
That was awesome. And we are going to end our evening with Emily Haas, our favorite Southern girl with a great accent. Take it away, Emily.
That's funny. Thank you. Y'all, this weekend, I cannot even tell y'all in 5 minutes how this weekend was. It was phenomenal. I've been to lots of events at this point, leaders retreats, conventions, super Saturdays, opportunity tours. This was hands down the best I've ever been to. Everybody's already taken everything I wanted to say.
I know.
We're going to keep going. It's amazing. I think what made it so awesome was the small setting, and that we were there with all of these diamonds that we look up to. Like, what we want to do all the time is just absolutely pick their brain on everything, and we got to do that. You know, we got to listen to them with the diamond panel, which was phenomenal. And we got to sit around at the lunch they had for us, just talking with them and doing, just talking with them and soaking everything in. And then, like Brittany said, we went to church with Kristen and Brenda and Wendy Sunday morning, had breakfast, and then ate dinner with them after breakfast. So our brains were about to explode by the time we got in the car because we just soaked it all in. So it was phenomenal. So my one word of advice to everybody that was not there was to bust your tail and get there next year, because it is so very worth it. And I am going to tell you a couple of points like that I found, and some of them I don't think actually have been mentioned. So my biggest takeaway from the whole diamond panel was just a couple of words. They were work, show up, recruit, and believe, because it's all worth it. Those were my biggest things from the diamond panel, like the overall takeaways. And that's what they all came back to, was it's absolutely worth it. So time management, everybody has talked about. But one of them said, saying I don't have time is actually a fear. And you need to get over that fear. We talk about fears a lot, and you've got to push yourself out of that. And I don't know who said it, but one of them said, if you weren't doing Plexus, you would still be busy. So don't use busyness as an excuse to not work your business, because this is worth it and it can change your life. So spend that time on something that's going to change your family's life. Always stay teachable and coachable. One of them said that. And if you have a team under you, you can tell a difference between somebody who's coachable and somebody who's not. The coachable people are the ones that are going to move forward with their businesses. So stay coachable always. Recruiting should be your number one priority always, so that you're in charge of your business and moving it forward. So always keep recruiting number one. Let's see. Oh, one of my favorite parts was when Jarrett Abart was talking. He is on the Plexus Advisory Board. I don't know what it's called, but anyways, it's like if it's happening in Plexus, he knows about it. That's the kind of board he's on. And I mean, he still recruits people. He's a diamond. And, you know, he said, talking about, you know, when you're talking with people and they kind of, you know, laugh at your opportunity or they're not interested, that he is like, you know, at this point, I'm just like, whatever, I'm making more in a day than you do in a month, so I'll go find somebody else. And money speaks to me, like, speaks to my heart. So that was really just a big moment for me, you know, because that's where I want to be. And I really love that he just flat out said that. I make more money in a day than you do in a month. So if you don't want to take what I've got, this phenomenal opportunity, then that's okay. I'll go find somebody that does. So to me, that just said, when you get a no, keep moving, because somebody out there wants what you have. So just keep going. My other very top favorite was when Wendy was talking, and she said leaders must be present. Like, you need to be on team calls. You need to be on book studies. You need to be at events. If there's an event within driving distance of you, get your butt in the car and go and be there. That's how you're going to duplicate that with your team, is for them to see you doing the things. If you're not doing the things, your team's not going to do the things.
Yeah.
And leaders are born at events. You know that. So just be there. Show up. You're going to get a ton out of it, whatever it is that you're at. So just go and do it. Even if it's not, you know, you may not want to go. You'll be so glad you did after the fact. And I think that's about all I had for what we learned. I mean, Vanessa was awesome. I'm not even going to go into what she talked about. But, no, it was awesome, and you need to learn how to read people, because it's going to help you. And you need to know how to present yourself to people and carry yourself. And I've been micro reading all of your faces while I've been listening to everybody.
I know.
It's really kind of fun. Because I've been like, what's that? So that was good. But
Yes.
like Natalie, I mean, the fun. I'm all about the fun. Y'all, I could have stayed at Wild Horse Saloon and shut it down and stayed until the next morning, and I would have been perfectly happy. But just hanging out with everybody and getting to spend that time. You know, we hear, surround yourself with people that are where you want to be. Everybody that was at Ruby Retreat is where we want to be, you know? So, but you just could not have been in better company than the almost 100 people that we were at with this weekend. It was the best of the best.
Yep.
And they just all poured into us. And I heard it more than once from different diamonds that I was talking to, and they just kept saying, do the work and get here. I want you here. Like, I want you to be where I'm at. Y'all, that's powerful. Because it's not like they put themselves up anywhere higher than we are. Like, they really, truly want each one of us to be there. They care and they want us there. That spoke volumes to me, because, you know, they just want it for us, maybe more than we want it for ourselves a lot of times. So I'm planning on doing my part and busting my tail to get there. So that's all I got. I'll be there next year, y'all.
Love it. I love it. So much good stuff. Thank you for sharing, Emily. Appreciate it. And before we end, I think Brittany had one more thing to add.
Emily's on my team. I just want to say that.
You are lucky to have her.
I am. She's awesome. So I forgot to say this earlier, but this has been mentioned a lot tonight, the mom guilt thing. I think is something that all leaders are going to struggle with because, well, lots of reasons. But, you know, sometimes we feel like we're pretty clear on our why. And we do this for our family, but guys, let's just be honest. This is fun. Like, this is fun. We love what we do. And you better believe if a level 1 is calling me and they need something, I'm answering that phone. And usually even like I'll sacrifice in order to talk to them. You know, I just love what I do. And so sometimes that adds to the guilt because sometimes those lines get crossed between is this for my family or is it more for me? You know,
Yeah.
I am enjoying this. But I mean, I know logically this is for my family. Like, that's why I do this. Because there are days that don't feel like fun. You know what I mean? And I keep going because this is for my family. And so when we were at dinner tonight, we were talking, I was just kind of giving them a recap and the mom guilt thing that they talked about. I mean, that was the first question they even asked. And I was just like, okay, here we go. This is going to be like a weekend full of tears for me because that is definitely something I struggle with. Like the floodgates opened right then when they started talking about that. So when I was telling my family about it tonight, my kids were like, what's mom guilt? And I'm like, you know, mom guilt, like mom's feeling like they're not doing a good enough job or whatever. And they're like, why would moms feel like that? And I'm like, well, you know, like we just feel like, I'm like, I don't know. It blows my mind that you would think I wouldn't feel that way. And Noah goes, it blows my mind that you would feel that way. And so, you know, I think we're so hard on ourselves. It just made me take a step back and just realize our kids don't see us the way we see ourselves, you know. And so we really shouldn't feel so guilty because it is for them. And they know that. Like, even if we struggle with it, they know that what we're doing is for them and that they are what's behind all of this, you know. So I just wanted to share that and encourage you moms who do struggle with that mom guilt. Your kids are not looking at you and thinking the things that you're thinking about yourself. They are looking at you and admiring you and hoping that they are going to do as good of a job as you. So set that example. Don't be afraid to work hard and show them that, you know, when they go dream big and go after it, that the sky's the limit. Anything is possible. We have to set that example.
Awesome. I'm so glad you shared that. I think all of us moms need to hear that. So thank you, hon. And thanks to everyone. Give them a big hand. Yay. Everybody did so good. Sharing and speaking tonight. Thank you for being willing to do that. And hopefully you got a lot of great tips from our rubies. So thanks, everybody. We'll sign off for now and hope you all have a great night. See ya.